Hey guys, what's going on? It's Crondis here, and it's been a while. Work has been pretty harsh on both me and Fang, which is why a lot of content has not been coming out on the channel recently. It's been about a month. I think our last thing was Fang's thoughts on the Gower quest. So I thought I'd just give you guys a quick update video, my thoughts on this Port Sarim event, which as you can see I'm currently doing in the background, and the mini quest that came out, and a little pre-teaser for the Arc, which will be out in 2 days, I believe. It's currently Saturday and it's coming out Monday. So, yeah, just my thoughts on all that. So, the event is really nice. The XP is really good. I mean, it's decent. It's like the other MTX events, which we've had, like the Attack on Falador. So, definitely taking advantage of that, and if you haven't, you should. You can get herblore, smithing, construction, and crafting experience. I think that's all of them. Doing the several events, and as you can see, you get these token things that you can get up to 2,000 a day, and you can convert that into prizes such as conch shells, which give bonus XP and stuff like that. So the mini quest was pretty nice. It was just a little teaser about Trader Stan, and he's got a ship that he wants you to have since you're the portmaster of, player on ports, which I'm not exactly sure how that works out if you're not a player on ports person, but I suppose if you are, that makes sense. So you've got Trader Stan wants you to make a crew for this ship that he's now given you. So he starts off by telling you to talk to Yumi, Sarula, and the captain of the jail, which he suggests as your original crew. And of course you go to all of them, and none of them want to do it. So starting with Yumi, she actually tells you to talk to her sister because she doesn't want to do it. And she would actually rather stay in Port Sarim right now. So her sister being Jimmy, the throwaway character, or at least the character we all thought was going to be a throwaway character during the Meg cases. Speaking of the Meg cases, I guess I should mention, if you aren't already aware and you haven't done this mini quest, which you should, it's actually a follow-up to the Eastern Mysteries Meg cases series, which was about people disappearing, and you had to find it, and it actually turned out to be a man named Jeb who was taking people hostage to go to the Eastern Lands. And he's come back, and he is now attacking the prison, abducting the prisoners, and just is causing havoc in Port Sarim. So yeah, so anyway, so you're making this crew in order to go to the Ark to find his hideout. So, as I said, Yumi wants you to go to Jimmy, which you find, and of course Jimmy is immediately up for it, because what else does a throwaway character have to do in her life? So then you go to Sarula, and she sends you to a captain who just happens to be in the bar at the time, how convenient. And then the captain of the prison actually tells you to find a girl in Draenor who happens to be very knowledgeable on boats and is the sister of one of the prisoners who was abducted, which is, I guess, kind of interesting. She used to be a Black Knight, so she's kind of only in it for herself at the moment. And that's the end. Yeah, it's just a little run-around 5-minute mini-quest, but, for something that we're getting before the arc is even released. I suppose that's a good, it's a good little introduction, I'd say. So to follow it up, we know that when the arc releases on Monday, that there should be, I believe it's 3 or 4 other mini quests. I know they originally said 4 in batch 1 and 4 in batch 2, but I don't know if that included this one as batch 1. I'd actually have to look that up. And the way this mini quest sets up, and as it ends, Trader Stan tells you that you have to go and find his hideout, find Jeb's hideout in the Ark. So my assumption is that at least 1 or 2 of the other mini quests will be, finding Jeb's hideout and saving the hostages, which I suppose if they're prisoners, do they really want to be saved? Because they're just going to go back to be prisoners. But, I guess we'll see with that. Yeah, so that was pretty neat. And it gives us a kind of introduction, or kind of a reason to go to the Ark, which I know a lot of the lore players, especially myself, were kind of worried about, that they were just going to throw people into the Ark without really a actual narrative, since that was the whole point of Player on Ports, was to give narrative to the Eastern Lands, which is this place that we had never been to before. And since, they decided that they were going to give everyone access to the Ark, although some content is, restricted behind the ports levels, but they were still going to give everyone access, so we were just kind of worried that they weren't really going to have a reason to send the players there. And so I guess this mini-quest does kind of give us that reason, I suppose, and it's okay. I would have preferred if it be locked behind ports myself, but I can see why some people wouldn't want that, or at least why they wouldn't want it from a advertisement kind of standpoint, business and stuff like that, which was their main reason. And I kind of feel for Stu and Raleigh that they kind of had to do that, since, they've both come out and said if it was their decision, they would have wanted to lock it behind port stuff, but because of it, business is business. So, yeah. So the Ark's coming out Monday, as I've said a couple times now, and the content looks kind of interesting. So, for batch 1, what we have is, listing off the top of my head to start off with, we've got the Spirit Dragon Slayer monsters, which, if you're any bit interested in lore, the moment you see dragons, your mind immediately jumps to dragon kin. Well, it seems they've actually gone a separate path this time, and it's not actual dragons in the sense that we would think of dragons. They're actually based, if you see their model, they're actually based off of Chinese dragons. And what they are in the lore are these monks that are reaching higher and higher levels of, enlightenment. And so they go through the other steps, and I don't necessarily remember from the video what the other 2 steps were. I believe one was a spirit kind of thing, but I'm not positive. And then they go all the way up to spirit dragons, which is the highest level of enlightenment that they can achieve. So it's not actually dragons created by dragon kin. It's just these people who have somehow changed themselves into the likeness of a flying dragon. Which, okay. You have the personalized islands, the randomized islands kind of thing. And you can go around, and each of them have different supplies on them. And so, like mining and woodcutting, and I believe also Slayer and stuff like that. So in the video, if you watch it, it shows you mining on a crab, which was kind of interesting because it was kind of like a semi nod to mining gobies. So I thought that was kind of funny. And then you can actually claim an island for yourself if it's so like if you find an island that has a good amount of resources on it, you can claim it for yourself and you can return there at any time instead of it randomizing into some other island. And once you're on this island, you will actually have a player-owned house there, which is also interesting. Though according to one of the mods on Twitter, they did say that it's not going to be a house in the standard sense. So the way it was described is like you can have a house in Pristinus, but you can also use teletablets to get to this house on your island as a one-way kind of thing instead of having to go through the process of going to the Ark and then going to whatever person you have to talk to then get to your personalized island or your claimed island. And so it's like a shortcut kind of teleport right there, which I suppose could be kind of cool, but it seems like a weird walk around when they could have just put like a standard spell in the spell book or something like that. But you know, I guess this works out too, and it gives you an like a house on your island. So I suppose that's what they're going for, is personalized, is make it actually seem like it is yours, that your house is there in a sense. So yeah. So overall, Batch 1 Arc looking pretty cool. I know there's other stuff that I'm forgetting, but as I said, this is all I'm improvising at the moment, so I'm having to remember off the top of my head, and that's all that's coming to me at the moment. So the graphics, if you haven't seen from the video, the trailer, which you should definitely give a look at real quick before it comes out Monday, the graphics for the Arc look fantastic. It's very... They've gone for a very, like a Bahaman kind of approach, which is cool. It's not really as Eastern-y as I was expecting. Like, it doesn't give off the Asian, Japanese, Chinese kind of vibe, except for the Spirit Dragon area, which I suppose kind of fits into the lore of the Ark, kind of, because if you check in your ports guide on the map, it actually says for the Ark that if you were to ever encounter a Westerner in Wishenko, that it would be most likely in the Ark, since they are the most westernized of the Wishenko Islands. So you could kind of imagine that the Ark is more of this melting pot of Eastern and Western culture, and it kind of came out as this Caribbean-looking Bahaman paradise kind of thing that you'd see on like beaches and stuff like that. Yeah, but it looks pretty cool. I know there's something on Amanishi which is escaping me, and I don't know why. Also you can meet the ports adventurers, which will be kind of cool. Actually talking to them outside of the one little cutscene you can have in your port, so you can finally follow up with them, see them in the environment that they're going to. I know the architect, if I remember right, lives on Amanishi. Maybe it's Waiko? It's one of the two. And then... So yeah, like you're seeing them in their kind of natural environment, I suppose. They're not these Easterner people that have been kind of never been to the Western lands before. Except for like the Trapper, I do believe he is a Western person. He just likes going over to the Eastern lands. And I do believe he is one of the people you can meet. I believe it's the Trapper, the Architect, the Whaler, and maybe the Thief? Possibly. Yeah, but it's got the very, like I said, it's got a very Caribbean vibe going on, so that'll be really nice. If you can see on the screen, they've updated Port Sarim, which if you haven't seen this either, definitely look. It looks fantastic. I know a lot of people I heard some complaints that it looks like a copy and paste of the Player on Ports models, which is kind of true, but what you have to understand, and I've had to explain this a couple times now, is that Port Sarim and Player on Ports is the same thing. So Ports is like an extension of Port Sarim. It's in Port Sarim. The reason you have to go through a portal to see it is because it's kind of stuck in scale theory. And if you don't know what scale theory is, look it up. Because it's a long thing that is very confusing and too long to explain in this video. So, yeah, definitely, if you don't understand that, you need to look up scale theory. But just short, Port Sarim, or Player on Ports, is in Port Sarim. So it would make sense that the buildings in Port Sarim look like the buildings in Player on Ports, since they're the same thing. Yeah, so just people complaining about that kind of struck my nerve, since they don't really know what they're talking about. If you can see the boat, the charter boat, pay fare boat to Karamja is still locked in the harbor with no physical way of getting out. I know Captain Lime does not like that at all, and I do believe Raleigh is saying that they're looking for a reason to or looking for a way to fix that, but I don't know if they know how. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, so that's basically it. That's some thoughts on the Port Sarim event, mini quests, pre-arc, and hopefully me and Fang will be able to get a podcast out for you guys as soon as the arc comes out, maybe Monday or Tuesday, just depending on how schedules go. So yeah, hope you guys have a good day. Hopefully we can start getting content out a bit more. Like I said, our schedule's been kind of crazy lately, so just all depends on what's happening and who goes where and does what. So I'm going to try to get another Rune Secrets out this week, hopefully. And I know Fang has some other content planned. It's just a matter of time of when he can get the time to sit down and do it. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good day, and this has been my thoughts on. See you guys.